Hi, I'm Mr. C, the teacher, and with over 28 years of experience teaching in the public education system, I've specialized in teaching early primary grades. That's for children ages 5 to 8. And the lessons I've created here are the same ones I use in my classroom on a daily basis. I've created hundreds of lessons in every possible curriculum area. So grab your tools for school and join in with our lessons, or just sit back and watch along with us. Let's do some learning together, because you're watching Lessons from the Classroom. In today's episode, we're going to talk about matter. And when we think about matter, we think of it as coming in three forms. A solid, like this glass, a liquid, like this water, or a gas, like the air in this balloon. But what's more important is we're actually going to talk about the properties of matter. Properties of matter are when whether something can be changed or not, whether we can make that change really fast or whether it happens slow. And we're going to do some experiments where we're going to mix some liquids with some other liquids to see if we can create a gas, or some liquids with some other liquids to see if we can create a squishy solid. So to be able to change matter from one form of matter into another. Okay, let's get started and learn about matter. Okay, here we have a fun hands-on experiment that has to do with matter and changing matter. It's called elephant's toothpaste. And it says, the summary says we're going to make a foam as hydrogen peroxide rapidly splits into oxygen and water and forms bubbles of gas in a liquid. So we're basically going to change a liquid into a gas. And we've got actually also some tiny bits of solid material that we're adding as well. So let's take a look at some of the materials that we need. So we're going to need a container so that we don't have everything spilling out. Maybe a tall bottle, plastic or glass bottle will do. This is just an old pop bottle. We're going to need 1 measuring cup's worth of hydrogen peroxide. This is just 3%, which you can buy at any store. You can get it in higher percentages. It becomes a little more dangerous to use, but it makes a much more effective job as well. But 3% will do for us. I've just put it into a little beaker here. That's the hydrogen peroxide. We also need some food coloring. I've chosen a bright pink color, and I put it in a little test tube here just to make it a little more fun to add. We need a squirt of dish soap, so I've put some dish soap into a little test tube as well. And last and most importantly, we need some of this active dry yeast, which you can buy at your grocery store. And I've just put those little crystals of it. It's a little solid, almost like little beads. And that I've also put into a test tube. So let's follow the instructions here. First step is we're going to add our hydrogen peroxide into our bottle. I'm just going to use a funnel to make that a little neater and tidier. There we go, our hydrogen peroxide is in there. Next we're going to add that squirt of dish soap. I'm just going to empty my little test tube of dish soap. And I'm going to add my little bit of food coloring just to give it some color. Make it more exciting. We'll swirl that around just to mix it. And last of all, my dry yeast. I'm going to add this, swirl it around, and step back. Let's find out what happens. There we go, elephant's toothpaste. Okay, well, now that we've finished our experiment of making elephant's toothpaste, we have to do our worksheet portion. So this says our materials we used were hydrogen peroxide, 3%, 1 cup of that, a little bit of dish soap, a little bit of dried yeast, about equivalent to 1 tablespoon, and we also added some food coloring just for excitement. So, procedure, what we did, well, we mixed the liquids, which of course was the hydrogen peroxide and the dish soap and the food coloring. So you mix the liquids and the yeast, and we kind of stirred it. So we mixed the liquids and the yeast and we stirred them together. So the observation, what we saw and learned. We saw the mixture foam, right? Sort of turn to bubbles. We saw the mixture foam and come up and out of the bottle. That's what we saw. So our summary, we can say here that we changed liquids into a gas trapped in the bubbles of the liquids. So we can say our summary is that we changed liquids into a gas, which got trapped in the bubbles of the liquids. Pretty cool. Elephant's toothpaste. Okay, and then on the very back, the last part, we need to make an illustration of what we saw happen. So I'm just going to draw this foam that squirted out. And it kind of squirted out nice and smooth and thick. And it ended up sort of pouring all over the place. It was quite thick, wasn't it? Kind of landed all over the place. And I'm going to color it the color of my experiment, which was a bright pink. Because I added pink food coloring to mine, I'm going to color my elephant's toothpaste picture in with bright pink. And there's what I saw happening. Elephant's toothpaste. Great fun. Turning a liquid into a gas. So we're going to do a hands-on science experiment here that has to do with our theme unit on matter. And today we're going to be mixing some substances together, which start off as a liquid and become a more viscous liquid, meaning almost like a solid but stretchy and movable. We're actually going to make silly putty. And it says the summary is we're going to make silly putty and understand that the chemical reaction that makes it and the chemistry of its behavior. We have a list of materials here, things like white glue and some borax, which is like a soap mixture detergent, this white powder. And we've got some Dixie cups and some mixing cups and a stir stick to mix everything. we have, very important, our measuring spoons, especially the teaspoon and the tablespoon. So there's our tablespoon, and here's our teaspoon. We'll be making use of both the tablespoon and the teaspoon here as well. And we're going to need some water, some measuring cups. Later on we'll need a little plastic bag to put our silly putty in. So let's get started. I'm going to mix up a class batch of it first, so I have quite a lot, enough to do, say, 20 students. Okay, so in following the directions it says, make about 1 to 1 of white glue, enough for 2 tablespoons of the mixture for each student. So I have 20 students in my class. What I did is I made a big batch that had 20 tablespoons of white glue and 20 tablespoons of water mixed into it, and I stirred it all up. That's going to give me a mixture that will allow me to have 2 tablespoons per student. So there's 1, and here's our second tablespoon going in there. So now I have a little mixture that is 2 tablespoons in here of the glue and water mixture. And the next thing it wants me to do is make my 2 teaspoons. So here's a teaspoon measurement, 2 teaspoons of the borax. That's our white powdered soap. So a teaspoon is quite a small amount. It's only that much, just a very small amount. And that's going to go into 2 entire cups of water. And I actually boiled the water so that it would really dissolve in there. And there's my 2 cups. This is a measuring cup that's 2 cups with just the 2 little teaspoons of borax in there. And it's all dissolved, so it just looks like clear water right now. So we've done 2 tablespoons of the white glue and water mixture into this Dixie cup. And now we're going to do 1 tablespoon of the borax solution into another Dixie cup. So here's our 1 tablespoon of the borax into that Dixie cup. We're going to ask you guys to pour the borax into the white glue. There we go. And then we're going to stir it up. So once we have the 2 mixtures together in this cup, we start to stir it, and right away you can see it starts to become thicker and gooey, and you got to stir it for a long time. This is actually a chemical reaction that's occurring. It's starting to make some squeaky sounds now as I stir it. Okay, and once it's stirred up like that, you've actually got silly putty, and you can pull it out with your fingers. And you can start to play around with it. And there we go. We've got silly putty. Later on, I can put my silly putty into a plastic bag to take it home. For now, I'm just going to keep playing with it. Okay, well, creating the silly putty is one part of the job here. Now we have to do the other part, which is on the back of our work page. So let's get our name up there. It says silly putty, and the materials were white glue, water, some containers, borax, some Dixie cups, a stir stick, and a baggie to hold it in. And it asks us the procedure, what we did. So let's write down what we did. We can say we mixed white glue and water with borax, and I'll give it a capital B because it's actually a name brand, borax and water, and we stirred. Okay, the next part asks us our observation, what we saw and learned. So we can say, we saw the mixture become thick. So we saw that mixture become thick, right? And now you can see it here. It takes the shape of the container, but it's much thicker than just water. Right? It's become silly putty. And in fact, summary, we can say a chemical reaction changed the liquids to silly putty. We'll give those capitals because that's like a name brand. There we go. So now we filled out our worksheet telling us what we did, what we saw, and a summary of what actually happened. It's silly putty. It's fun. Oh, look at that. He even picks up the ink. Cool. Okay, here we have a worksheet that we can sort of fit in with our theme unit on matter. It's about changes. And it says, what change happened here? So I'm going to draw a face on a strip of paper. And I usually use paper towel because it's nice and absorbent. And I'm going to put one strip of the paper with the face drawn on it into some water and see what happens. So I've already gone ahead and I've taken my two strips, drawn my little faces. One of the things that's very important in this experiment with chromatology is to make sure that the felt marker you use, the black felt marker you use, is a washable one, because you want these colors to actually bleed and fade out. So I'm using like a Mr. Sketch scented felt marker, or a Crayola Ultra Clean washable felt marker. You don't want to use a permanent marker. So don't use a Sharpie, use a washable felt marker. And you want to use black, because the idea is we're going to pull out the other colors that are in black. There's colors like blue and orange and yellow in this black. And that's what we call chromatology. This box says this strip was in the water, so I'm going to need to put that one in the water. And this strip was not in the water. I guess I can go ahead right now and take my glue. And I'll glue this strip right on there. But my other strip, I want to just get it into the water just a little bit. The water's going to soak up. We'll have to leave that for a little bit of time. But as the water soaks up, it should pull that black ink. And that's what we call chromatography, to see what other colors might be in that ink. We'll have to leave it for a while right now. All right, so here we go. We've got our finished product here. Just put a little bit of glue because this is the strip that was in the water. This is our finished, what we call chromatography, where the black ink, when it gets soaked and washed out, you can see all the colors that were in that black. So we got some pinks and some reds, some orangey yellows, some blues and purples in here. And all those colors were actually contained inside the black. It asks us one question down here at the very bottom. It says, was the change reversible? Can we reverse this and get it back to looking like that? Yes or no? Well, the answer on that one is no. So we'll circle no there. So this is what happens to the black after it's soaked through water. And that is called chromatography. Thanks for joining me today in our lesson. I hope to see you again soon. I hope you had some fun, worked on some new skills, and maybe learned something new as well. Join me next time on another episode of Lessons from the Classroom. Bye for now. For some more great videos by Mr. C the teacher, go to Google and do a search for Mr. C's full name, Chris Castellarin, under YouTube. So type in Chris Castellarin YouTube, and you'll find plenty more videos.